Right, and what time have we got?
Okay.
Right, I'm going to turn the video on and say good morning. Right, so where's the video? How do I get me on?
There we go. There you are.
So people now see me, yes. Hello, good morning, everybody. Sorry, by the seat of our pants, Alan and I are here, which is great. Welcome to our digital marketing webinar. This is not my natural habitat, i.e. digital marketing, but I'm learning. I'm really pleased that we have an array of informed speakers for you this morning, and I'm sure we're all going to learn something. So without further ado, I'm going to start this off. So Minal, I know Minal is here with us, and I know that you're on a schedule. Good morning. So over to you, please.
Thank you, Sally. I'm just going to share my screen. I don't have very many slides. So what you can see on here are a couple of QR codes that you can scan if you fancy joining my email list or wanting to try Constant Contact. So what if I told you you could make £36 for every pound you invest? Would you want to do that? Of course you would. That's the return that you could make with email marketing. Now, it works for me and it works for my clients, and I've specialised in email marketing for 12 years out of a 22-year career in marketing. As I said, on the screen, you've got two QR codes. The one on the left is to join the Marketing Morsel Club, which is my weekly email and much more. It's more of a club. And the one on the right is to try Constant Contact. It's an email marketing tool, which I use and which actually West London Chamber uses. And you can try that free for 30 days. So you can scan either of both of those at any time. I do have to leave as soon as my session is over because this is not my home. I am in Liverpool and we have to check out at 11. So if you have any questions, my email address is on the screen there as well. So pop those questions to me via email. Right, let's get to how you can excel with email marketing. So the first thing you need to do is define your strategy. Before you send your first email, it's really important to work out what your strategy is. This is going to help you to create an effective communication plan. So think about how often you'll send your emails to your list. I recommend you send regularly, a minimum of once a month, but honestly, you can send more often than that. I send weekly, as I mentioned. Next, work out the content that you want to include. As with other digital marketing tools, email marketing should provide your subscribers with value. Work out what you're going to send in these proportions. So 80% of the time include content that will educate, inform, or entertain your readers. The remaining 20% is for you to promote your business. And you can do that by including offers, events, other relevant information, maybe case studies, links to your services. This is going to help you, that proportion is going to help you to really keep your audience engaged and focus on who your target audience is. You want those people on your list to buy from you, but understanding more about your ideal customer, who they are, what they're into, where they hang out, the social networks that they're on, all of this is going to help you to identify places that you can grow your email list. The next thing you want to do is create an email marketing plan. Now, when you have a plan, you can focus on the job of creating the emails. I can't tell you the amount of times that small businesses tell me that they don't have time to send the emails. That's because they haven't planned what they've sent. Without a plan, you're going to spend all your time on working out what to write, which is a big reason why people give up. And it's not as complicated as it sounds. Focus on what you decided in your strategy. Plot out important dates for your business. For example, I expect a lot of chocolate businesses would start ramping up now for the Christmas period and other periods in the year, Valentine's Day, Easter. So work out what those important times are in the year for you, and then look at the holes in your plan. What else can you include? What have you got coming up? Are you planning to write blog posts? Are you planning webinars like this? Are there awareness days that you can capitalize on? They're a great way to create content. So really create that solid email marketing plan that tells you email by email, what you're going to include as your content. And I promise you, it's not as complicated as it sounds. If you feel a little bit overwhelmed, work in 15-minute blocks. Do that. Work for 15 minutes and then leave it, and then come back again and work in 15 minutes. When you've got that plan, sitting down at your laptop to create your email becomes so much easier. I do this myself. I plan 3 months at a time, so you don't even have to plan a whole year if you don't want to. I plan 3 months at a time, and when I sit down to create my weekly email, the actual creation part takes me 13 minutes. So you can see how quick you can get. The next thing is to choose the right email service provider. So the email service provider, this is the software that you will use to build and send your emails. It's the thing that helps your emails look great. And I always recommend that you use an email service provider, email marketing service provider like Constant Contact, rather than sending from Outlook or Gmail or any other email account. And the reason is that they provide templates that you can customize so that your emails look professional and they represent your brand. And these templates look great in any inbox. So you can create one email that looks great on a laptop screen, on a tablet screen, and on a mobile screen. They're built to do that. They also quite often have other tools included, such as social media scheduling or survey tools. Constant Contact this year introduced an amazing feature called, I forgot what it's called. It creates digital campaigns for you. So it's using their AI. You put in a few prompts, campaign builder, you put in a few prompts, and it will create an entire digital campaign for you, which is amazing. And then all you have to do is brand it up so that you can use it. Using an email marketing service provider also gives you access to reporting. And it's really important that you use the reports, access them to help you see how your emails are performing. They give you meaningful data that helps you to make decisions about your email marketing, but also you can use that data to help you make wider marketing decisions. So important things to focus on perhaps are why people have unsubscribed. When people open your emails that have bounced, people quite often heavily focus on email opens, but honestly, the clicks is where the magic is. So really look at the clicks and understand what people are clicking on. That will give you a good idea of what your email list is interested in. And when you find the types of content that they like, you can work to build more of that same content and give them the things that they love. And when you do that, you get better engagement. You will want to focus on growing your list. You know, part of email marketing is about having a healthy list. And growing your list is important. And it's as important to start as soon as you're able to. So don't leave it until you've got something to sell, because the sales won't come straight away, because you have to build that relationship. It is about building relationships. It is about building a community. So start your email list as soon as you possibly can. Now, the way that you ask people to join your email list will impact their decision on whether they say yes or no. So telling a potential subscriber how often they can expect to hear from you and what you will send them really makes them happy to join your email list. We're all quite guarded about our personal data, and our email addresses are personal data. And people don't want to hand over email addresses with, to a statement like, would you like to join our email list? Because that just says nothing to me. It just said to me, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, not really, because you're just going to bombard me with stuff that I don't want. But a really well put together phrase or sentence about how often you're going to email them and what you're going to send them, that gives them an idea of the frequency and the value that you're going to provide them. And it just impacts the willingness to join. So work out that value. When you're working out your strategy, you're writing down those things that you're going to put in your emails. What is the value part that you're going to share? Make sure that you have a sentence that you can share with people, tell them about why it's great for them to join your list. Be transparent, tell them about the frequency. Tell them that no one else has access to your email list. These are all things that are important to us. Then ask as in many places as your potential customers are. So when you're putting that strategy together and you're looking at your ideal customer, there are two reasons why you want to know more about them. One, the type of content that they'll like, and number two, where they hang out, so that you can put your email sign-up link in as many of those places as they hang out. So that will include things that you own, your website, your business cards, your email footer in the normal emails that you send. So things like that. And then the other places, the places that you rent. So your social media profiles, posts, blog posts that you might share on other websites. So just there's a whole host of places that you could be putting your link to join your email list. And then the last thing that I want to talk to you about is, before I tell you some things to avoid, is email automation. For me, this is really the powerhouse of email marketing, and it's the thing that small businesses don't take advantage of enough. It is so powerful for small businesses, whether you're welcoming new subscribers, sending subscribers a birthday present or a follow-up to events. Email automation makes sure that those emails get sent at the right time to the right people. So if you're scanning those codes on the screen right now, either one of those codes, they trigger off an email automation. I will be sending you emails. If you've scanned either one of those now, you'll have had the first email in your inbox right now while I'm talking. And this is really powerful because it saves us so much time. So work out the types of automations that make sense for your business and use your email service provider to create those automations. And I will say that in a lot of the free plans, you're very limited on the automation. So if you are on a free plan at the minute, consider paying for more powerful automation. Some things for you to avoid doing. First, don't add to anyone to your list without their permission. So anyone can mark your email list, your emails as spam. And the more spam reports you get, the more likely your future emails will be blocked by the internet service providers. So keep on the right side of our data protection laws. Email marketing service providers include list growth tools within their platforms. So use these to help you to get the permission you need. They also manage the unsubscribes for you so that you don't inadvertently email those contacts. Next, try not to deviate from the frequency and the content that you promised. This is really important, so keep your audience engaged and try not to annoy your subscribers. So don't tell them that you're going to email them monthly and then start emailing them every day. That's really going to annoy people. Sometimes you might need to send an ad hoc email, and that's fine, just as long as you explain to them why you're doing it. And lastly, don't give up with email marketing. Remember, there's an average return of £36 for every pound spent, and a little patience goes a long way. You need to build trust with your subscribers, and that calls for consistency in how often you email them, as well as the content of those emails. So with a great email community behind you, your business will grow. And those are my tips, and I'm going to hand over back to Sally.
Thank you very much indeed, Minal. Thank you. As you know, we, the Chamber, we use Constant Contact to send out our information. Ours is slightly different in that I'm sort of doing a lot of cutting and pasting because I'm forwarding information which I think will be useful for Chamber members and the wider business community to see. And we have now introduced an index to those emails to make it slightly easier for people to see if there's anything they're interested in. But thank you so much indeed, Minal. And I'm enjoying looking at your hotel room. Is it Liverpool you're in?
Yes,
Yeah, it's lovely.
right in the centre.
It's very very sparse, but thank you. Yeah, thank you for making time for us. And I think you've now got to jump off, haven't you?
Yes.
So
yeah.
thank you so much indeed. Thank you.
Okay.
Right, next up we have Denise Quinlan. I've known Denise for many years and have enjoyed sort of seeing how her career has developed. And Denise is going to be talking to us about LinkedIn. And I must admit, I'm enjoying posting more things on LinkedIn. I hope you've all noticed that. I'm beginning to use it better, which I'm really pleased about. Anyway, over to you, please, Denise.
Morning, Sally. Okay.
Good morning. We can see your slides.
Fantastic. Hopefully you might be able to see me now as well. Right.
Yes.
So welcome everybody, and thank you for inviting me to speak. Very excited to be here on this lovely October morning. So my name is Denise Quinlan, as Sally has kindly introduced me. I'm an award-winning business coach with a visual twist, and I specialize in working with small business owners, getting them more of the clients they love, and a financially flourishing business. So the focus today is on LinkedIn, and what I'm going to look at specifically is the about profile. Okay, so on the about section, which is all about you, because often this gets left behind. So we can be posting, which is great news. So good work, Sally. Glad you're posting and enjoying it. But sometimes the about gets left behind. So I'm going to specifically look at this morning. And what I'm going to do is put some of that context of how you create a great profile. Now, the big challenges we all know in business, if you imagine these penguins are actually people, they're representing people out there who are, some of them are potentially your target clients, a lot of them aren't. Now, the stats say that only 3% of people are looking for services similar to yours right now. Okay, so 97% of people, represented by these penguins, aren't interested in what you're doing. Okay, I know it can be crestfalling and kind of a bit of a dent to the ego, but they've got other things going on in their lives and aren't going to be your target people. So some statistics say it's actually only 1% of people are looking for services similar to yours right now. So here's the actual stats. So here's the 3%. Okay, ready to purchase. 7% are open to buying, but are busy with other things. And then the rest are kind of varying degrees of absolutely not interested. Okay, so that's why it feels tough trying to find fabulous clients. Now, the important thing in that penguin colony is we've got to stand you out, first of all. And we all know the hardest person to market is ourselves. So you may have heard the phrase, it's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle, because we're so familiar with our own experiences. We often think that everybody else might have those experiences too, or they might think similarly, but okay, that is part of the challenge. So we've got to step outside of our kind of understanding of what our target clients actually want. But it's really important to bring out those hidden gems that we're all sitting on that we forget to tell people or don't realize they're gems if only our target clients actually knew about them. So I've got 3 things that typically people struggle with, business owners struggle with. And the first one is expressing the value you offer for the reasons we've just talked about. Can be overly modest as well. We've got lots of cultural elements of, you're not allowed to boast and all these sorts of things. But you don't need to be boasting. It's talking about the benefits that your target clients can have as a result of the service or products that you deliver. So that's often an issue. And sometimes it can be, there's not enough time to do it, or because you don't really enjoy it, avoidance or procrastination kick in. So those are the kind of 3 things that I find people struggle with, particularly on this. So how that shows up in their positioning, their LinkedIn profiles, their websites, their Instagram posts, their social media, is often we can lead with a list of services, which is a starting point, but we want to up the game, okay, a couple of notches. Often what happens is people don't talk about their target clients' issues and aspirations, okay? People are only interested in 2 things, themselves and what you can do for them, okay? So that's why we have to turn it around. Often credibility that you have isn't fully articulated. Okay, we keep the kind of high level stuff and don't dig down deeper. We don't mention how you're different. So unique selling propositions, plain English campaign, that means how you are different to other people who may offer the same service as you or product. Sometimes the engaging presentation may not be engaging, and sometimes we can all be hoping it doesn't matter and hiding under a rock for the storm to pass. But that's why we're all here today. So the impact of that is you're lost in that noise. So imagine all that penguin colony of people that, you know, all chatting, the cacophony going on there. Your messages aren't getting out over and above that sound that's out there. Okay, you're not visible. People therefore aren't seeing you, so they're not engaging. Okay, worst case scenario. So what I do with my clients and what I'm sharing you a taste of here is what we need to do is get that profile looking beautiful, shiny, client focused, essentially, and reflecting the true value you offer, getting you comfortable articulating that and more confident in that whole sales process. But underpinning all of that is actually understanding your target audience, what their aspirations and challenges are, and finding ways to reach them. Okay, so we're moving you from the left-hand side of challenges to the right-hand side, essentially through a 4-step process, which looks like this. So understanding more about you, how you're different, why you're doing this in the first place, what your purpose, your mission is, and your values, putting the client at the heart of it. Okay, what their aspirations, what their challenges, then showing up in the world, whether that's in person, in words, written words, spoken words, still images, moving images, sound, and then that ongoing spinning plate of storytelling, which is also known as marketing. Okay, as a result of all that, you know, you're targeting your clients' issues and challenges and their aspirations, how your different is set out. Your credibility is nicely articulated, it's engaging visually as well, such that, back to our penguin colony, you're standing out a head above the parapet. You're visible to people in the industry and to the people you want to reach. So people start engaging. So that's all the fabulous things that need to be going on in the background. So to give you a specific example on your profile, as I mentioned, we want to move away from that listing your services, which is a place to start. But as I said, we want to move above that. So I'm going to take an example of independent financial advisors, wealth managers. So you might say something like, you know, you're a London independent financial advisor with X years experience. You specialize in pensions, retirement planning, investments and tax planning. Okay, which is all very nice, but given that people are only interested in 2 things themselves and what you can do for them is kind of, that's very, you know, so what? If that whole room of penguins were saying they were, you know, they offered these 3 different services, you'd be running in the other direction pretty quickly. Okay, so how are we going to make this more meaningful for the people you want to work with? Well, first of all, we get specific. So who are the target clients you love working with? Okay, hopefully in your mind, you're all thinking of somebody who was a dream client that if you had, I don't know, however many you need to have a year, if you need 10 a year, 100 a year, 200, whatever the number is, if you had that client multiplied by the number you need, your life would be a heck of a lot easier. Okay, so who is that target client? So we're looking at the bullseye of the old dartboard. Now, what happens here is the brain starts to possibly resist a little bit. By narrowing down, you may be worried that you're missing out on people, okay? But the mantra is state what you're looking for and they start to show up. If you try and appeal to everybody, you end up with nobody, okay? So you will get people who are spot on your target client, but you'll get some people who are 75% match, 50%, 25% match. And some people don't even hit the dartboard, but they're a good person to work with, okay? And a good client to work with, okay? But state who you're looking for and they start to show up. We don't want you blending into the penguin colony, folks, okay? So rather than having a list of services, what we're going to have is this. This is the after, okay? So short statement, John brings retirement dreams to life, okay? He's featured in the Times, vouched towards 2024 guide to the UK's top-rated financial advisors. He also stands out as a people-focused, personable, chartered financial planner. He specializes in working with intelligent, savvy, discerning individuals. So bit of flattery never goes amiss. So we're getting specific on age group, okay? So people in their 40s and 50s who've invested for the future, so they're not flat broke, okay? And the reason for this is people are reading this and going, oh, consciously or otherwise, oh, that's me. Okay, yeah, I've invested for my future. What are the problems and aspirations? They don't have the time or inclination to get knee deep in overwhelming financial maze of pensions and investments. Okay, so they're time poor, okay, and they know that getting a pension sorted is important because it could end up a bit messy later down the line if you haven't got it sorted. Okay, but they do have an idea of what they want to do with their life, but not sure of how to make that a concrete plan. So, as I said, so we've got a kind of quick intro as to what they do, credibility, specializing, who's the bullseye client, and then their problems and aspirations. Okay, so you're reading that through going, totally irrelevant for me, move on. Great, don't want to waste anybody's time. If you're in your 40s and 50s, you've invested your future and you know the pension thing's a bit tricky, then you're going to be looking a bit more as to, oh, who's this person? Maybe I need to, follow them. Maybe I can listen, read a few of their articles they put out. They look quite interesting. Or if you're ripe to sort your pensions out right now, you may well be sending an email, giving them a call. Okay, so you're sorting the wheat from the chaff much more easily by stating who you want to work with, essentially. Now, the big reveal is how do we create this? So I'm going to reveal my big secrets here. Is everybody ready? Ready for the big reveal? So component building blocks to reveal this are as follows. To create your clear client focused messaging, we need to understand who your target client is. Okay, the one you love working with, what their problems and aspirations are. Okay. Feeding in the results you deliver. You bring retirement dreams to life in our example here. And then why you different. Okay, so that is what needs to go on your LinkedIn profile, essentially. It also can go around your homepage of your website, in other places, in shortened forms. But that is the foundation for how you articulate what you're about and how to get great clients, essentially. So if you'd like to contact me, here's my contact details. A pleasure to talk with you. So back over to you, Sally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Denise. That was great. I especially loved your illustrations, that the penguins and the dartboard. Thank you so much. Now, next up, I think we've got Gillian Stafford, who's going to be talking about Insta. Yes, Gillian, I know you're on a tight schedule, but please, can you be with us for the next sort of 10 minutes?
Yeah. No, I'm lucky that
Brilliant.
I can. Yes, I've been able to attend more than I thought.
Lovely, well done.
Okay,
Over
I'm
to
just
you
gonna share
then.
my slides. 1 second. Okay, so hopefully you can see my slides. Thank you, Denise. That was lovely. And I think there'll be some overlaps with some of the things we say, which is even better. So yes, today we're going to talk about Instagram. But before that, just to introduce myself, my name's Gillian Stafford, and I'm the chair of the West London Chambers, which is a really fabulous role. I'm getting to work with the amazing team. And then in my day job, I am a B2B marketer, and my main audiences are around the industrial space. So I work a lot with manufacturing, engineering and construction, and my absolute baby, aggregates. I market stones. So yeah, I love working with quite industrial products. It's my favorite place to be. Okay, so let's get on to Instagram. So very simple. It's all about today whether you should use Instagram. I'm sure a lot of you already do anyway. And then some tips for a successful presence. So why should we use Instagram? Well, lots of reasons, I guess, and it's going to be part of your social media strategy. It is not going to be everything, but it's going to be part of it. A couple of the things just to lift out. Instagram is super visual. It's one of the places where you can really bring who you are to life, I think. I think if you think about it, like LinkedIn is the professional audience, a little bit relaxed these days, LinkedIn, but it is definitely where you go to be professional, to do business. Instagram is also where you do business, but you show more of yourself. I think you're a bit more, who you are, show your personality and get in behind the scenes of the business. So you can use them both in different ways as part of your strategy. And it really, because of that, it really then builds that know, like, and trust factor with people. It's also really good for selling. So if you've got a product that you want to sell, it's a really good place with the marketplace. It interacts quite well with Facebook in that regard as well. So it's a good place to be for selling as well. Now, quite a busy slide, but essentially Instagram is a young people's place. Let's all leave now. But essentially it's for 18 to 34-year-olds. There's about 61% of all the age groups are on Instagram and love it better than anybody else. But having said that, it is definitely growing in the older populations as well. So even over the years, I did this presentation last year as well, and it has increased in the older age groups since this time last year. The younger age groups, the tweens, may only be 8%, but those audiences jump in and out of it a lot more. So they're probably on it more regularly than the older age groups. So they kind of make up a little bit on that, but they're probably all on Snapchat, I would say, these days. TikTok deserves a mention here in that it has been the place that Instagram goes for inspiration. I often feel that Instagram should just be who it is and go after its strengths, because it probably has a lot more strengths overall than TikTok, but it seems to follow a lot of what they do. So for example, the Reels introduction a few years ago was all because of the style of video that TikTok serves up. But TikTok really is brilliant for youth users, but Instagram still remains that preferred place to be for the 16 to 34-year-olds. So it is still very much relevant if that is your target audience. A little bit about demographics in a different level. So income-wise, it's really neither here nor there. There's some people who earn very little, there's some people who earn a lot, but it's slightly more likely to find people who earn a lot on Instagram. So still great for shopping, even if you do the sort of small ticket items in volume, it can still be a very good place to be. Regionally, it's all based around cities and urban areas. So just the stats here show 25% only live in rural areas. So it really is very much an urban kind of app. So if that is where your target audiences are, again, good place to be. Education-wise, again, not really here nor there. There's a good level of education across Instagram users. LinkedIn is probably the place to find the really highly educated people. But, you know, some of them are on Instagram, of course. Interests-wise, theme as usual. We've got fashion, wellness, all the lifestyle businesses are on there. But also finance is growing, which is a new thing over the last couple of years. You see a lot more these days about how to make your money go further, what to do with your money, all those kind of things. So it's a really good place for a lot of different businesses, really. So I've got 6 tips for you to make a bit of an impact on Instagram and help you to be seen. So number 1, like probably all of us marketeers on the call will say the same thing, really work out if your audience is online. I don't have penguins, I just have people. But basically find out, you know in detail who your audience is, as Denise said, and I love that as well. Find out your best customer, who they were, and try to replicate that as your ideal audience. But are they on Instagram? Because if they aren't, unless you've got loads of time in your hands and you like hanging out on Instagram, you don't need to be on there. Go and find a different platform where they are instead. And the other top tip I would say on this area is to really engage the new people that you follow, but don't forget about your existing audience. I find it time and time again with people who want loads and loads of followers, but the best followers are your existing connections, your existing customers as well. It's a great place to keep connected to existing customers and also just existing connections. They're much warmer than the new people that land on your doorstep. Number 2 is to make a great first impression. Again, as Denise says, it's really hard to stand out on social these days. You've seen on the stats, there's over 2 billion active users monthly, 35 million in the UK, who are actually fighting to be seen on these platforms. So it's really important to stop that scroll. You know, you want people's fingers to stop, you know, the way you do. You see people doing this, especially younger people, that's all they do, and they might stop. So you've got to make it really engaging, really show-stopping, nice bright branding, and also a really good bio. So something that says what you are, what you do, what you offer, who you want to work with, and also add a bit of your personality in there. You know, Alan on his LinkedIn, for example, adds in, he's a proud Elizabethan. So stuff like that, bring something personal to the party to let people know you're different to everybody else and show a bit about you. And again, the top tip here is to use your keywords to be found in search. It used to be that Instagram hung off hashtags all the time, but it's more and more moving to that search engine scenario. So make sure you use words in your bio that people will use to search you up or your type of service up. Number 3 is to pimp up your branding. As I said, you need to be that branding that makes people stop when they're scrolling. And you also, when people land on it, you want to portray a really professional outlay, let's say. So you want to make sure when people land on your profile that it looks the same as your LinkedIn profile, that it looks the same as your Facebook profile, it looks the same as your stands at an event, that your branding is really clear. So you want to thread it through. You don't need to really have it so checkerboarded and perfect like it was over lockdown, but definitely bring elements of your branding through to make it look like you, to make it look like your company, and be really consistent. The other thing, just a top tip there, is to use clear quality photos. It sounds really basic and really simple, but the amount of times I get sent sort of things to share on socials and they are blurry, not in focus, that's not what you want on Instagram. You need very clear quality, sharp photography. Doesn't need to be professional photography, but just really clear photos. And on that note, don't feel that it needs to be so perfect that you never post a thing, because that would be terrible. So there's plenty of accounts out there that just serve amazing content and they don't look very nice on their grid. They're not they, but their company doesn't look very nice on the grid. And that's okay, because content is probably the most important thing that you will ever do on any of your platforms. That is because you've thought about your audience, you've thought about their challenges. And if you serve the content that is talking to them directly, you're going to get a long way. So even if you make a list of all the things that your clients say to you on a daily basis or complain to you about, so I don't have time, or I'm feeling stressed about this, or I don't know if it's going to arrive, or this is overwhelming, use those lines and create content to talk to those people about that, because that's what they're thinking. So they will resonate with your content. And don't worry about giving away information for free. We always worry about sharing things and, well, people won't pay for them then if I'm telling them everything on socials. But I think it really helps to build trust, and nobody is ever going to piece together all your Instagram posts and make their own strategy out of it. Well, they might, but they'll be much better off with you doing it for them. So really think about being generous with your time. If people ask you a question, answer it openly, because I think you will get the returns in that trust and loyalty. Number 5 is to really use the different formats of Instagram. And I think this is where Instagram really stands out over TikTok and other platforms. It has so many different types of format within the platform that will work for different levels of that funnel, different levels of being able to attract volume, to getting down into the DMs where you're trying to convert people. So at the top, you've got Reels, great for bringing in new eyes, reaching out to people who have never seen you before. The short form videos, up to a few seconds that loop. If they loop while the audience is reading lots of text that you've got over that loop, it will keep people engaged. And every loop that the couple of seconds video goes is a different view. So you can be really clever about getting more views on Instagram that way. The longer form reels are great. You can do sort of very long reels these days, which are great for, say, workout videos, or for educating people, telling them about your benefits, a little bit of maybe leading into a sale. So those long form videos are really good, and they get the highest reach out of all the formats. Carousels get the highest engagement rates of all the posts, and that is because they are, again, a little bit further down the funnel. They are educating and building relationships with the people you've brought in, new eyes that you've brought into your posts, and people have to scroll across the carousel, so it takes them longer. So it means that it feels like your page is being engaged for longer, so therefore they do really well. And then finally, stories. It's the most popular type of content. It really gives a brilliant feel for who you are, what goes on behind the business. Yesterday I said to Alan, you need to kind of show your day in the life of Alan Rides, because he did so many amazing things yesterday, and stories would be the perfect place to bring that to life. Doesn't need to be polished video, very quick, very simple, and it's accessible. And it's also only served to our followers. So it's a great way, that's why it's further down the funnel again. It's a great way of keeping in touch with people that follow you already. And then the DMs, of course, is for getting people in there and chatting to them, having a one-to-one conversation. And hopefully, eventually, if you've got something to sell, you will get the sale in there. Finally, time it right. Everyone's always asking what the best time is to post on these platforms. And, you know, I think we all know these days it's the best time for you. Whatever it says in your insights as to when your audiences are online, that is the best time for you. If you don't know that yet, this is a good guide. And I think it has changed over the years. It used to sort of be 9, 10. Then over lockdown, it moved into pretty much all day, late nights, weekends, all of it. And now it's come back into, maybe you can see the natural pattern, slightly later morning on a Monday as people get into work. You know, people switch off on a Friday and go off on their weekend. So I would say if you focus between 10 and 2, you will have a good return, and then you can analyze in your stats for the best time for you. So that's it, my 6 top tips. So make sure your audience is on there before you spend time on the platform. Make a good first impression with great branding, with great bios. P, pimping up your brand. A, making sure that you serve up the best content for your audience. C, making sure you create using all the different formats that Instagram has to give. And finally, time it right, because your audience will be more likely to see it. So that's it. Any questions, you can pop them in the chat, or we can you can email me later on, or contact me on LinkedIn on Gillian Stafford. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gillian. Though looking at that demographic, I'm in sort of the oldest one, but hey, I am so young
Great.
at heart.
Doesn't matter. There's more of us on there.
I'm beginning to use LinkedIn, so Insta is next. But I am on Insta, and I then end up just scrolling down, and I get lots of sort of rubbish stories. So it's a bit like YouTube, and then you just get hooked, and you're scrolling down looking at videos of kittens, and you think, oh, for God's sake, no.
That's because you're looking at pictures of kittens there, Sally. You need to look at the things you want to be served more of.
Thank you so much indeed. I'm aware of time, so we'll crack on. Next up is Sunil Kalia of AVA SEO, how to be found online. Sunil, over to you, please.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me? Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay, so good morning. Thank you very much for having me on as speaker as SEO and following in the footsteps of Gillian. My name is Sunil from AVA SEO. We're a 360 digital marketing agency, so website design and SEO, digital marketing, and also GDPR compliance for your online presence. So my slot here today is to talk about SEO, and what I've learned is preparing slides for a 10-minute slideshow is helped me prepare War and Peace for 10 minutes. So SEO, it's definitely worth the effort. And looking at my slides over here, I want to go through and explain what SEO is and where you fit in. So in other words, SEO is, the juice is definitely worth the squeeze. And at a very high level, SEO is about increasing your organic ranking, online presence, and visibility on the SERP, but SERP being the search engine results page. So everybody wants to appear in position 1, page 1, but appearing on page 1 is quite important. So why is SEO so important? Well, people use a variation of words and sentences to call keywords in their search for an answer. And a website will attract audiences based on those keywords. And you're unlikely to appear on the search result if other businesses are doing the same thing and you're not using the right keywords. And that's why SEO is important. And Google knows that it's going to rank you based on that keyword. So simply put, search engine optimization SEO is the process of attracting and growing a website's organic search traffic without paid advertising. And that's quite an important factor because you want to appear on search results without having to pay for advertising. So there's different types of SEO: technical SEO, on-page SEO, local SEO, off-page SEO, and there's a bit of an outlier as well, Google Business Profile. These are the core SEO, but there's more than just this SEO. There's accessibility SEO, mobile SEO, international SEO, but for most purposes, this is the most important list. And I want to take an opportunity to explain at a very high level what these different SEOs are. So technical SEO It's about improving your website to make it easier for search engines to find and understand your content. It also involves user experience factors, such as making your website faster and easier to use on mobile devices. And done right, technical SEO boosts your visibility in search results. And this is where really all website development should start from an SEO perspective, because Google's got to be able to find your website. It's got to understand the structure of your website. It's got to understand the pages. And that's what we know as crawling, or Google has something called spiders. On-page SEO, that's the process of optimizing the web pages and the content for search engines and users. Ultimately, this is what a web page or your content is about, appearing on search results with content that resonates with your audience. And that's what helps you rank high on Google, page 1, position 1, and drive more organic traffic to your website. So when it comes to on-page SEO, it's about the right content, and it's about optimizing that content for search results, such as using titles, title tags, internal links, and URLs. Local SEO is going to be probably one of the most important types of SEO for the type of audience on today's webinar. And that helps your business appear more prominently in unpaid location-based searches, such as in Google Search, Google Maps, and other search engines. And for example, it can help your Google Business Profile rank higher in the local pack, and we're going to talk about the Google Business Profile in a separate slide. But a local SEO action plan is absolutely vital if you want your business to appear in Google search results for local business searches. Off-page SEO. Now, this refers to improving a website's unpaid search engine ranking without changing the website itself. And one of the most prominent tactics here is link building. So link building is when another website links back to your website. You don't want to be paying for those kind of services. You've got to deserve it. You've got to earn it. So if, for example, you've got the West London Chamber of Commerce, and they've got organizations like the British Trade Industry, CBI, and other large international organizations linking back to the website, Google's going to consider a website as authoritative and trustworthy. Moving over to Google Business Profile, and this was previously known as Google My Business. And this is a free tool from Google, and it is one of the most underused, yet one of the most important parts of any SEO strategy. You must have a Google Business Profile, especially if you're a local business. And that Google Business Profile needs to be optimized. And these are one of the areas where we help our customers. And it really lets you connect with your customers, post business updates, list products, services, and much more. And it is one of the, like I said, the most underused, but one of the most important aspects of SEO. So a business with a well-optimized Google Business Profile is much more likely to appear in a Google search result. Got a couple of bonus slides over here. So essentially, this is what Google's looking at in your content. Wherever you post content, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, social media, even YouTube, Google is ultimately looking for, are you demonstrating experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness? And these are what Google calls EAT, and you might have heard the term EEAT. Whenever you're developing content, this is the journey your customer is going through, or potential customer. And this is their sort of the mental state of mind. You're seeking to get their attention because they're asking the question, what is it? You're seeking to increase their interest, so they like your product or service or information. You then want to increase their desire to get them to think, I want it. And then you want them to get them to take action. I'm getting it. And this is something also aligned with something we call search intent within SEO. And search intent, there's 4 types: navigation, information, commercial, and transactional. And with navigational intent, users want to find something specific. So in this case, they're looking for the Subaru website. If they're looking for information, they're asking the question, what's a good car? When they move to the commercial stage, they're kind of comparing between Subaru brand and another brand like Nissan. And ultimately, transactional intent, that's the kind of search query that's the most important. So I was conscious of time, and I want to make sure Steve Parker also gets an opportunity to present his slides. So I want to cap it at these slides. And if you want to find out more about what we do and how to find us and the services we offer, that's our website. And happy to pass back to
Yeah.
Sally.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed, Sunil. Thank you. That was really useful. And also thank you for being aware of time, because I'm aware we're running out. Steve, over to you. Steve Parker from London Media Lounge. We did a podcast with Steve a few months back. It was great fun. I mean, basically, who doesn't want to talk about their business? It was very relaxed, and yeah, if you haven't seen it, please do go find it. I think it's on our YouTube channel. Anyway, over to you, Steve.
Thanks, Sally. Yes, it was a good couple of hours in the studio. So I am chatting about the power of podcasts. This is me, actually a few years ago. I've got some more grey hairs since then. I've been running London Media Lounge since 2021, which is a podcast studio in Uxbridge. Actually 5 podcast studios in Uxbridge, where we rent out the studios for people doing podcasts. Before that, I was director at a voiceover recording studio, mainly recording games in Soho. And before that, mobile DJ. So let's have a bit of history. Who remembers the iPod and the whole hoo-ha of trying to download podcasts onto it? There was the thing called iTunes. So you had to connect up your iPod to your computer. You had to download your podcasts onto your iPod, and then you could go on your commute and listen to your podcast. So podcasts have been around for about 20 years now. 2002, 2003 was the sort of first podcasts. And now there are approximately over 5 million podcasts, 70 million episodes worldwide, and apparently 464 million people are podcast listeners. And there's a couple of examples, Joe Rogan there and Stephen Bartlett. I'm sure everybody will know those. In fact, while we're here, why don't we have a little survey? Drop your favorite podcast in the chat. It'd be interesting to see what people are listening to. I'm sure Sally's will be the West London podcast. What's the attraction of a podcast? Well, for listeners, it lets you deep dive into your area of interest. So you can go really, really niche. We host a podcast with some roofing guys. They talk about roofing every week. It's actually quite interesting. So they've become the spokespeople for their little niche area of business. It's great for professional development and education. And what we find is podcast listeners report a real feeling of trust and friendship with their podcast hosts. You've probably seen they have live events where people turn up and rave about their podcast hosts. They sell merch. And for creators, you become the trusted spokesperson for your industry or your area of expertise, and you build brand loyalty. And actually, starting a podcast is pretty easy, pretty cheap. And I would say, though, use it in conjunction with other marketing methods. Talk to Manal, of course, and the other people on the chat today. Here's some examples of some of the niche podcasts we host here at the studio. Now, these are all video podcasts. We find it's very rare now that people record audio-only podcasts, probably because they're recording them at home, not using a studio. But we have a couple of personal trainers that produce content for their clients, a makeup artist who's become a sort of spokesperson in her industry by doing her makeup podcast with her tips and tricks. We've got a cybersecurity expert who produces a weekly IT bulletin, and the Pakistan Business Council pop in and they cover business opportunities in the UK and Pakistan. We have well-being experts. They have podcasts on improving well-being. And we even have city finance experts in Brunel, the local university, pop in and do podcasts for their students as well. Now, historically, there was always an issue with finding podcasts. If you were trying to find a podcast, you had to download an app. You had to know what podcast you wanted to listen to. But now we're getting there. The accessibility of podcasts has massively improved. Obviously, Alexa, smart speakers has helped. Spotify are trying to become the place to host podcasts, and of course, YouTube as well. And what's coming is this next generation of podcast apps. So you'll be able to have micro payments. You'll be able to sell merch from your podcast. You can message the host and perhaps recommend other podcasts. But we still think the industry needs better ways of tracking listeners and downloads, because advertisers need to know this data. And there's not actually a very good method of tracking that at the moment. A download doesn't equal a listen. That's the main issue. So have a think about what podcast you would like to make, and really don't worry if it's too niche. And you can record podcasts from home. Obviously, there's lots of cloud-based podcast creation tools now. Do spend some time editing, making it sound nice, and add some nice graphics and music, because that really makes it stand out in the podcast app. And if recording from home, do a bit of research on the mics, the sound treatment in your room, perhaps some cameras and lighting. And, contact me if you need advice on that. And as I say, lots of exciting developments coming up in Podcast 2.0. Other thing to do is offer yourself as a guest on other podcasts. There's lots of directories online for that, where you can register yourself as wanting to guest on other people's podcasts. I'm keeping it short, as I know we're running out of time. So questions or emails, send questions to me. I'm steve@londonmedialounge.co.uk. Happy to answer any questions, especially on tech. I can chat tech for ages. I'm very geeky, so you do ask questions about that. Thank you, Sally, for giving me the chance to chat today. I'll hand you back. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Steve. And as I say, we so enjoyed doing the podcast with you. And we've just looked at the stats. The podcast we did with you has got the most sort of views on our YouTube channel. And I think it's also on our website. Now, I know that the proud Elizabethan sitting next to me is going to ask one quick question about Premier LinkedIn. But just before we go, I would just want to say thank you to all our speakers, and also to Lisa for holding the fort while Alan and I were sort of fighting against the traffic to get here on time. So, Alan, do you want to ask the LinkedIn question?
Sure. I'd also like to say very directly to Steve, thank you very much for making us feel so welcomed when we came over and relaxed in your office and work premises to put together a wonderful podcast. I'd really like to advertise this to everybody, and you should take it up.
Thank you.
The question that's come in from one of our viewers today is about the benefit of Premier LinkedIn. Is it really worth paying the extra money? What do you get for it? What type of feedback do people have from it? And at the end of the day, is it worth it? There's been lots of positive and negative things said about it. I'd just like to get an industry expert reaction.
So, Denise, what do you think about that? I think you're on mute. Sorry.
Am I back with you? Can you hear me now?
Yes, Kevin.
Yeah, after all these years.
Steve, could you stop sharing screen? That would be lovely.
Okay. So there's lots of qualifying questions to answer there, really. So first of all, are you using normal LinkedIn to its maximum capacity? Okay. So what are you trying to use LinkedIn for? Okay, first and foremost, are you looking to reach customers? Are you doing all the good things that you need to be doing in the first place? Have you got a good profile? Are you putting up content? Are you interacting with people? Okay, so are you getting those conversations going? Are are you a good community member, so to speak? So you're adding value and you're providing useful content that people will engage with, and people are following you and all those good things. So first and foremost, are you doing all that good stuff, essentially? So yes, if you're doing all that, then great. And doing all that legwork, there's a good chance you may not need to go for Premiere, essentially, is what I'd say in a short answer. But happily have a conversations with the person who are if they contact me. But I'm more than happy to understand a bit more about their context and what they're doing, and get more specific about that. But that's the kind of rule of thumb. You can go a long way with the standard basic LinkedIn. First and foremost, I would say make sure you're getting that all done, and then look at the other options that are available.
Okay, so one of the questions that's just popped up about verifying yourself on LinkedIn, we've all been through that at a training session with Gillian, and it's quite important in today's age of problems out there on the internet.
Lots of spam.
Properly verify who you are.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to, as the chamber, give a big hearty recommendation. Instead of paying lots of money out to people like LinkedIn, use some of our own local members, and especially the experts that we've just had on today, to talk to the people that you know and trust locally and maximize the best benefits that you can get for free.
Yeah.
Before you want to take a step up to a pay-to-use version, which you might not understand fully, might not be able to use all the tools. But certainly I wholeheartedly agree, as usual, with Denise, with what she says. Please take her up in her offer for some of her valuable time, and you'll get the much better benefits out of these tools.
Yeah. I think that's it, folks. We're now 4 minutes past 11, so we've run over a little bit. The webinar is going to be on our YouTube channel, and that'll be up later today. I'm sure Lisa is on it already, as soon as I stop wittering on. And then, yeah, lots of emails are being sent out, lots of social media. Please do read, please do retweet, repost, whatever you do with it. Read the emails, and just keep on listening. And hopefully we'll see you soon. All right.
Do we retweet or re-X now?
Oh, well, let's just go for retweet. I can't cope. All right, folks. Thank you very much indeed for your time this morning, and see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.